You've got to understand something right here, right now. If you're ever going to win in life, you have to learn how to lock in on yourself, not on what's trending, not on what your friends are doing, not on what people are posting on Instagram, not on what your cousins got going on. You, your life, your grind, your vision. That's where your energy belongs. Because the truth is, distractions will rob you of your future if you let them. They don't come with warning labels. They don't announce themselves. They sneak in little by little, scrolling too long, listening to everybody else's opinion, worrying about how fast somebody else is moving compared to you. And before you know it, you're off track. You're watching somebody else run their race while your race, your dream, your finish line is sitting there waiting for you to move. See, discipline is the difference between those who dream and those who actually live their dreams. A lot of people can talk about what they want. They can say it with passion. They can write it down. They can even start chasing it. But the ones who actually get it, the ones who taste victory, are the ones who put their blinders on and refuse to let the noise in. They treat their time like it's the most expensive thing on the planet, because it is. Once it's gone, it's gone. And if you're wasting it on distractions, you're paying the highest price possible, your future. You have to discipline yourself to say, I don't care what's going on around me. I'm staying locked on this thing until it's done. And when I say discipline, I'm not talking about some magical force from the sky. I'm talking about choices, daily choices. When that alarm goes off in the morning, do you hit snooze or do you get up? When you're tired, do you stop or do you push through one more hour, one more rep, one more page? When everybody's going out, do you go with them or do you stay back and put that extra work in? That's what separates winners from the rest. Winners are consistent with their focus. And I know what you're thinking, it's not easy. Of course it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be successful. Everybody would be disciplined. Everybody would be living their dream. But that's not how it works. You're going to feel like quitting sometimes. You're going to get tired. You're going to look around and see people who seem to be doing less than you, but they're further ahead. And that's when you've got to remind yourself, stay in your lane. Stay focused on, well, their story is not your story. Their timing is not your timing. And if you let that comparison game distract you, you'll slow yourself down. Let me tell you something, distractions don't just steal your time, they steal your confidence. You start watching what everybody else is doing, and before you know it, you're questioning if you're good enough, if you've got what it takes. But the moment you cut the distractions, the moment you block out the noise, you give yourself space to hear your own voice. You give yourself space to trust your own grind. That's when you start building the kind of momentum that nobody can stop. I remember times when I had to literally isolate myself, shut it all down, phone off, television off, people calling me. I didn't pick up. Why? Because I knew every second I gave to something that wasn't aligned with my purpose was a second I could never get back. And when you're chasing something big, when you've got a dream that keeps you up at night, you don't have seconds to waste. You don't have minutes to throw away. You need all of it. You've got to protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. And let me say this, being disciplined doesn't mean you don't enjoy life. It doesn't mean you don't hang out. It doesn't mean you don't laugh or relax. But it means you understand balance. It means you know when it's time to work and when it's time to play. Too many of you are playing during work hours and then wondering why your dreams are still on hold. You can't complain about results you didn't earn. You can't ask for success while giving half the effort. Success responds to focus. Success responds to discipline. So here's the challenge. I want you to identify every single distraction in your life. Write it down. Be honest. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's people. Maybe it's old habits. Whatever it is, call it out. Because until you name it, you can't beat it. Once you know what's pulling at your focus, you have to make a decision. Am I serious about winning, or am I okay staying the same? If you're serious, then you've got to cut it. No excuses. No halfway. Cut it. Replace it with discipline. Replace it with habits that push you closer to your dream, not further away. And when it gets hard, and it will, you've got to remind yourself why you started. You've got to replay the vision in your mind of what winning looks like for you. That picture of your future, of your family, of your freedom, that's what keeps you going. That's what makes you say no to distractions and yes to discipline. That's what makes you stay locked in when everything in you wants to give up. Because when you keep your focus on why, when you keep your discipline strong, when you guard your time like it's gold, you put yourself in position to win. So the question is, are you willing to stay disciplined long enough to see it through? Because the truth is, you already have everything it takes to win. You don't need anybody else's timeline. You don't need anybody else's approval. You just need your focus. Stay locked in until you win. Listen to me, the worst thing you can ever do on this journey, start measuring yourself against somebody else. That's a trap. That's poison. You wake up in the morning, you look left, you look right, you see what they've got, what they're doing, how fast they're moving, and all of a sudden your confidence starts dropping, your grind starts slowing, and you start second guessing everything you're doing. You forget that the only competition that matters is the person in the mirror. That's it. Nobody else. The only person you need to beat is the version of you from yesterday. Too many of you are out here racing in lanes that don't even belong to you. You're chasing somebody else's dream, trying to keep up with their pace, trying to copy their strategy, and then you're wondering why you feel burned out, why you feel unfulfilled. It's because you're not running your own race. You're living in comparison instead of creation. And let me tell you something. Comparison is the enemy of progress. The moment you start focusing on somebody else's journey, you take your eyes off your own path. And that's when you trip. That's when you slow down. That's when you lose momentum. You've got to learn how to appreciate your own process. Your process is not supposed to look like theirs. Your timing is not supposed to match theirs. Your struggles are not supposed to mirror theirs. And thank God for that. Because if you really knew what it took for them to get what they have, you might not even want it. You don't know the sacrifices. You don't know the pain. You don't know the hidden costs. So stop envying their chapter 20 when you're only on chapter 5. Stay locked in on your chapter. Write your own story. Because the truth is, if you stick with your story long enough, if you commit to growing day by day, page by page, your book is going to be just as powerful. Maybe even more. I remember when I used to waste time looking at other people thinking, man, I should be there by now. I should have what they have. And it ate me alive. It distracted me from my own grind. But the moment I realized that my only competition was me, everything shifted. Instead of asking, why don't I have what they have? I started asking, am I better today than I was yesterday? And that changed the game. Because now my focus was on growth, not comparison. And growth is what leads to greatness. You've got to set your own scoreboard. Too many of you are letting social media, society, or even your family set the scoreboard for you. You're letting them tell you what success should look like, when you should hit certain milestones, how fast you should be moving. And every time you fall behind that fake scoreboard, you feel like you're losing. But you're not losing. You're just not running their race. The scoreboard that matters is the one you set for yourself. Did you improve today? Did you learn something new? Did you give maximum effort? Did you stay consistent? That's winning. That's progress. When you focus on competing with yourself, you free yourself from pressure. You stop carrying the weight of other people's opinions. You stop stressing over their timeline, and you start to enjoy the journey. You start appreciating the small wins. You start recognizing the growth that's happening inside of you. And listen, that's the stuff nobody can take from you. They can take your job, they can take your money, but they can't take your growth. They can't take your character. They can't take the fact that every single day you're evolving into a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. Wrong. I'm not saying you can't be inspired by other people. Inspiration is good. Let their success show you what's possible. Let it light a fire under you. But don't let it discourage you. Don't let it make you think less of yourself. Use it as fuel, not as a measuring stick. Because when you measure yourself by someone else, you'll always come up short. But when you measure yourself by yourself, you can always win because you control that game. Every day, you've got to wake up with one question. How can I outgrow and outlast the person I was yesterday? That's the battle. That's the fight. Yesterday you procrastinated. Today you don't. Yesterday you gave 7%. Today you give 100%. Yesterday you doubted yourself. Today you believe. Yesterday you talked about it. Today you take action. That's how you stack wins. One day at a time, one decision at a time. And before you know it, you'll look up and realize you've created a life that's uniquely yours, a success that's tailor-made for you. Stop robbing yourself of joy by wishing you were somebody else. Stop sabotaging your progress by comparing your lane to theirs. You don't need their life, you need yours. You don't need their timing, you need your timing. You don't need their validation, you need self-belief. The only race you need to win is the race against yourself. The only person you need to beat is the person you were yesterday. So from now on, don't look left, don't look right. Keep your eyes forward. Keep your focus on your growth. Because when you commit to competing only with yourself, there's only one possible outcome. You win. Everybody loves to talk about winning. But what most people don't understand is that winning doesn't show up without losing first. You're going to fail. You're going to fall. You're going to mess up and it's going to hurt. That's part of the process. And if you can't handle that part, you'll never get to the other side. The difference between people who win and people who quit is not talent. It's not connections. It's not luck. It's resilience. It's the ability to take a hit, get knocked down, and still get back up swinging. See, the problem with a lot of us is that the moment life hits us in the mouth, we think it's a sign to stop. We think it's confirmation that maybe this wasn't meant for us. But setbacks don't mean stop. Setbacks don't mean it's over. Setbacks are feedback. They're information. They're showing you what needs to be adjusted, where you need to grow, what you need to fix. They're not there to destroy you. They're there to develop you. Every time you fail, life is asking you one question: how bad do you really want it? Because if you want it bad enough, failure won't scare you. If you want it bad enough, rejection won't stop you. If you want it bad enough, you'll take the lessons from the pain and use them as fuel. But if you're only in it when it's easy, if you're only in it when it feels good, then the first setback will take you out. And that's why you've got to build resilience. Resilience is when you stop letting circumstances control your effort. It's when you stop letting losses define your identity. Just because you failed doesn't mean you're a failure. Just because you lost once doesn't mean you'll always lose. Winners understand that failure is temporary, but quitting makes it permanent. So the mindset has to shift. When something doesn't work out, you don't say, "Why me?" You say, "What can I learn? How can I grow from this? How do I come back stronger?" That's resilience. I remember times when everything seemed to fall apart. Plans collapsing, doors shutting, people turning their backs on me. And I could have quit. I could have walked away and said, "This is too much." But the reason I'm standing here is because I refuse to let a setback be the final word. I told myself, if it knocked me down, I'll get back up. If it broke me, I'll rebuild. If it slowed me down, I'll find another gear. That's the attitude you've got to have if you want to win. Let me keep it real with you. Resilience doesn't feel good in the moment. It doesn't feel good when you're broke. It doesn't feel good when you're tired. It doesn't feel good when people doubt you. But resilience isn't about feeling good. It's about holding on. It's about staying focused on your vision, even when the circumstances look like the opposite of what you dreamed. It's about saying, "I know what it looks like right now, but I also know where I'm going, and I refuse to stop until I get there." And here's the thing. You don't just bounce back from failure. You bounce forward. Every time you overcome something, you don't just return to who you were. You become stronger, smarter, sharper. You gain endurance. You gain perspective. You gain wisdom. And those things make you dangerous because now life can't break you the same way twice. You're not the same person after the storm. That's why you've got to stop running from challenges and start facing them head on. Because the more you endure, the more resilient you become and the more unstoppable you are. Some of you are praying for easy. You're begging for shortcuts. You want it without the pain, without the struggle, without the setbacks. But I'm telling you right now, if it's easy, it's not worth it. If it's easy, it won't last. The struggle is part of what makes the victory sweet. The setbacks are what make the story powerful. Nobody gets inspired by a smooth journey. People are inspired when they see you fall and get back up, when they see you break and rebuild, when they see you lose and still fight. That's what resilience produces, a story worth telling. So stop looking at failure as the end. Stop looking at pain as punishment. Start looking at them as the training ground. Every setback is preparing you for your comeback. Every loss is setting you up for a bigger win. Every obstacle shaping you into the kind of person who can handle the blessing you're chasing. Because let's be real, sometimes you're not losing, you're just being prepared. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. Life is making sure that when the opportunity finally shows up, you'll be strong enough, disciplined enough, and wise enough to hold on to it. But you've got to choose resilience. You've got to make the decision that no matter how many times you get knocked down, you will get back up. You've got to decide that quitting is not an option. You've got to commit to pushing forward even when your mind, your body, and your circumstances are screaming at you to stop. Because resilience isn't about being comfortable. It's about being committed. And I need you to understand this. Winning is not about never failing. Winning is about never quitting. It's about showing up again and again until you get what you came for. It's about staying in the fight longer than the person who gave up. It's about having the courage to rise every single time you fall. That's resilience. That's how you win. So when life knocks you down, don't stay there. Don't let it keep you down. Don't let the pain make you forget the promise. Don't let the setback make you forget the goal. Get up, wipe your face, adjust your mindset, and keep moving, because resilience is the key that turns every setback into a setup for your victory. Stay resilient until you win. One of the biggest mistakes people make on the road to success is waiting until they reach the top before they celebrate. They tell themselves, I'll be happy when I finally get that job, when I finally buy that house, when I finally hit that number in the bank. And because of that, they spend years grinding with their heads down, but their hearts empty, because they don't give themselves permission to acknowledge the progress they're making right now. I need you to understand something. Success is not just about the big win at the end. Success is also about the small wins you stack along the way. Those little victories, those quiet moments of progress, they're what keep you going when the journey gets tough. Think about it. If all you ever do is work and wait for the big moment, you'll run out of gas before you even get close. That's why people quit halfway. That's why they burn out. Because they don't stop to see how far they've come. They only focus on how far they still have to go. But when you take time to celebrate the small wins, finishing that workout when you didn't feel like it, saving that extra $50 instead of spending it, completing that chapter in your book, making that one extra call, when you pause and say, yes, I did that, it gives you fuel. It gives you energy. It reminds you that even if you're not there yet, you're not where you used to be. And that matters. The problem is, some of you are so hard on yourselves that you can't even see the progress you've made. You beat yourself up because you're not at the finish line. But you forget that you're already miles ahead of where you started. You forget that you used to procrastinate all the time, and now you're consistent. You forget that you used to doubt yourself, and now you're believing a little more each day. You forget that you used to talk about it, and now you're actually doing it. That's progress. That's growth. And if you don't recognize it, you'll rob yourself of the joy that comes with the journey. Celebrating small wins doesn't mean you're satisfied. It doesn't mean you're settling. It doesn't mean you're done. It just means you're smart enough to fuel your own fire along the way. Every little victory is a reminder that you're on the right track, that the work you're putting in is producing results. And sometimes that's the only thing that keeps you moving forward when the finish line feels far away. I remember times when I was grinding for goals that felt so out of reach, I thought I'd never get there. I was broke, tired, discouraged. And the only thing that kept me alive in the fight was looking at the small wins. Okay, I didn't get the big break yet, but I spoke to 10 people today. I made progress. I didn't make thousands yet, but I saved a little more than I did last month. That's progress. Those little acknowledgments gave me the strength to push another day, another week, another year. And eventually, the small wins stacked up so high that they carried me to the big win. And that's how success works. It's not one giant leap. It's 1,000 little steps, one after another, day after day. When you celebrate each step, you build momentum. And momentum is what creates breakthroughs. Momentum is what makes the impossible feel possible. Momentum is what turns someday into today. But you don't get momentum by ignoring your progress. You get momentum by recognizing it, appreciating it, and building on it. Too many of you want to skip steps. You want to jump from the bottom to the top in one move. But let me tell you, it doesn't work like that. Success doesn't come in one big package. It comes in pieces. And if you don't learn to appreciate the pieces, you'll miss the whole picture. If you don't value the small victories, you'll never get to the big ones because you'll give up before you get there. And let me make this clear. It's not just about celebrating when things go right. Sometimes the win is just surviving the day. Sometimes the win is not quitting when everything in you wanted to quit. Sometimes the win is showing up even when the results haven't come yet. That's a victory. That's worth celebrating because consistency is a win. Endurance is a win. Showing up is a win. And those are the wins that eventually lead to the results you've been praying for. I know you want the finish line. I know you want the big house, the big check, the recognition, the freedom. And that's fine. Keep chasing it. But don't overlook what you're building along the way. Every late night you put in, every early morning you push through, every sacrifice you make, those are wins. And if you ignore them, you'll miss out on the joy of the journey. You'll think you're failing when really you're stacking bricks toward your foundation. The truth is, success is not a destination. It's a lifestyle. It's not a one-time event. It's a series of habits, a collection of choices, a pattern of persistence. And the only way you keep that lifestyle alive is by appreciating the progress you make every single day. If you can't be grateful for small wins, you'll never hold on to the big ones because the big ones are just a collection of small ones anyway. So I need you to shift your perspective. Stop saying, I'll celebrate when I get there. Start saying, I'll celebrate as I go. Start noticing your progress. Start acknowledging your growth. Start giving yourself credit for the effort you're putting in. Because every time you do, you're fueling your drive. You're reminding yourself that you're closer today than you were yesterday. And that reminder is what keeps you going until the victory is yours. Celebrate small wins until you win.